Hey everybody, this is Doug from Hissy Fit Reptiles, and no intro today, just let's cut right to it. I want to get into this and show you guys what we got going on here. This is clutch number 4. This is from the Pastel Mahogany Het Pied bred to the Sizzler. Now the Sizzler, she is a Super Pastel yellow belly for sure, and then she's also got something else going on with her, and that's what we're trying to figure out. So her parents were a Pastel Gravel Het Pied bred to a Pastel Ivory. So the Pastel Ivory, as far as I was ever aware, did not have anything in her besides pastel and a super yellow belly. So what I did initially was she had 3 clutches. The Pastel Ivory did, the mom of the Sizzler. So she had 3 clutches. The first one I was trying to get Pumas, so I bred a Spark male to her, and we got Puma stuff. The next season I bred Spectre stuff to her, and we got Super Stripe stuff. And then the third season was when I tried getting Highway stuff, and then we bred the Pastel Gravel Het Pied to the Pastel Ivory, and we got some Highways and then something that looks similar to this. So this is the baby from this clutch, obviously. And this is one that looks the most like the mom, the Sizzler. So I'm actually going to pull up a picture here and show you. So the mom is on one side and the baby of hers is on the other. So it looks the most similar. However, there's a lot more color variation in this thing than there was in the mom. The mom was mostly like a gunmetal, where this has got a lot more funky blushing going on. Almost like blues kind of going on in there. So it still has like the silver or gray type look to it, but it also kind of has like almost a bluish tint to it when you look at it in certain ways. Of course, here we have the patterning on the sides is pretty defined. You can see it pretty well. Not really faded, it's just kind of, it's there. When you look at the dorsal stripe goes about a third of the way down. It kind of breaks up a little bit, kind of Highway style, and then all of a sudden it kind of goes away with little patches of dorsal stripe here and there, and then it finishes out on like the bottom quarter of the body by the tail area. And the head, as you can see, there's a little bit of blushing right behind the head, and then you have kind of a pewter looking head in general. So she looks like maybe a pewter combo. If you look at a pewter combo of some sort, you might be able to see something that looks kind of like this. Thing is there's no cinnamon, no black pastel anywhere in any of the breeding. The mom laid a clutch of 9 eggs bred to a Mystic Het Desert Ghost last year, and here's the 9 babies. Now, everything from the Sizzler is pastel because she's a super pastel, and she is also yellow belly. So things could or could not be yellow belly, but everything will be pastel. Now, if she does have cinnamon or black pastel or something like that in her, then she would also be making pewters here or there. She'd have a pewter. And as you can see in these 9 pictures, I'm going to show you right now. So as you can see, none of these babies have any type of pewter thing going on. There's Pastel Mystic stuff in there, Pastel Mystic yellow belly, maybe even the gene that we're working with or messing with in this is even in some of those possibly. I actually have a holdback of the one, so that way, see if something ends up coming to be with that. I don't know what the gene is. So going into this clutch though, I did not expect babies to look like this. Now I do have 3 more I'll be showing you from that clutch that look even more insane than this one. Again, this one is the most patterned of them and looks the most like the mom. And you notice here too, there's like 2 little black spots even on both sides of its head, right between the nostril and the eye area, kind of. Pretty interesting. And then this is kind of what the belly looks like. We'll circle back around to this, and I'll give you my guess on what it would be if it's based on what else is in this besides that extra gene. So next up is this one. So as you can see here, it's a lot more faded on the sides. And then you still have the dorsal stripe up on top here. And then you also have the main part ends about a third of the way, and then it breaks up, and then there's pretty defined yellow with the dark border around the yellow along the back area here. But it still kind of maintains that yellow that you see up here. And then it comes back around, and then the bottom third is pretty much a solid stripe right along the tail area. But like I said before, very, very faded. It's still there, but not quite as intense as the other one. So, and you got kind of a lot of just random stuff kind of going on there. Almost look like if you took like a water paint, and you take a water paint thing, and there's a lot of like little granity stuff going along here. So you can see like kind of a granity type of a look to it down here. And the head is, you know, about the same as the other one, a little bit brighter. Still has those 2 black marks on this side. And I actually just noticed that on the other one as I was doing the video here. But so you can see there's a little black mark there and a little black mark there. So very, very nice looking. Pretty cool. Because you're not getting as much darker side patterning, it's more of an even color as compared to the other one where it's really, the blushing really messes with it a lot. Still very cool. Now the next one is almost the same, except how we have the yellow here up on top for this part of the stripe, and then it kind of breaks up and it has a little bit of yellow here. But then as you can see, it starts to turn white. The dorsal stripe turns white, almost like what a soul sucker stripe would look like. And this one's a lot more solid, going all the way down, and even going all the way down here, it turns yellow for a little bit there, and then back to white again, and then a little bit of yellow, and then back to white. So as you can see, it's a lot of variation here. Now this one does have the side patterning is faded just like the other one was. And this one does not have the little eye. Well, there's a little bit of the eye thing going on, but it's actually the eye stripe is completely gone on this side. It's really, it's blushed in or faded in. You still have the eye stripe behind the eyes, but going up to the nose, that part's pretty much washed out. And then here you have still the faded head in the back, the blushed head, and the rest of the head still looks pretty much the same. And again, you're getting kind of that same thing as the last snake I showed, where you have like this one's kind of yellow, but then you got the really faded ones, and there's like another darker yellow one, splotches basically, and a little bit of the granity stuff going on by the belly area. But otherwise, not the belly, but the lower part of the body. Then you look here, and there's a really good, there's a couple of different really nice faded areas here. There's a faded area there, compared to the rest of it. So that one is that. Then we have this one, which is pretty much completely faded on most of the body, including the stripe, but you still maintain that dorsal stripe right up along the first quarter of the body, right past the head, and then you have the dorsal stripe here, and even some patterning that is kind of funky. This one actually has like there's a little alien head, and then there's actually like a line right that goes right along there. So there's a line on each side, kind of like he is not cooperating, but yeah, this line here, the dorsal stripe here is more white, and then there's a little yellow part there. Then it completely fades and is washed out, where you have no definitive dorsal striping. Went all the way down until you hit the bottom part of the tail again, and then the dorsal stripe comes back, but without the outlines, and then it comes back down around where there's a little bit of patterning right at the tail area. And you can still see there's this patterning in there. It's just very faded. Kind of have that granity look along the sides here. Very, very funky. And on the head, as you can see, it's really washed, and there's no, and the lines, the definitive like dark lines on top of the eye lines is more washed. Where the other ones had that, like how the bottom part of the eye is, of the eye stripe, has the nice black outline right underneath it. That's gone on the top now. So now it's more of a blushed area. So we'll circle back. We're going to pull all of them back out here again in a second. And this was the only one that did not have all that stuff going on. This right here should be just a pastel yellow belly. More than likely just a pastel yellow belly. I'm not sure if it's carrying anything else besides the besides those two genes. So I don't know if it has that special kind of a gene thing going on or not. You know, everything has a chance to be possible het pied, since the male was 50%, I'm sorry, 100% het pied. So everything in here is 50% possible het pied. This does look pretty nice though. A nice blushing in here. It's nicer than some of the yellow pastel yellow bellies that I see out there. Some really nice blushing though. Some little bit of a belly shot there for you guys. So as far as I know, and as far as I'm aware, this is just a pastel yellow belly, but chance it could be carrying whatever that gene is. I don't know how it's interacting with everything right now, because I really don't know. I'm not seeing much of a pattern as far as why it's doing what it's doing with what it's doing it to. So now I'm going to put this one away, since this one doesn't really look like the other ones, and I want to do a side-by-side comparison and tell you what I think each of them are. So right now it's the Sizzler gene. It's what I'm calling that extra gene, until I know for sure what it is. If it's something else that's already out there, I will give 100% credit to whoever and whatever that gene is. If it's, you know, Cinder or Stranger or I don't know, whatever it is, I don't know what it is. But it's interacting with what I have right now in that snake specifically, and here are my thoughts on what I have here. Because every one of them is different in their own way, but still pretty similar. So obviously the coloration of everything is very interesting. So let's start with this one. This one, I believe, does not have mahogany in it. I think this one here is a Super Pastel Yellow Belly Sizzler. That's, again, what I'm just calling it for now. If it ends up being something else, I will 100% change the name to whatever that gene is, or what it's specifically for, or, you know, whatever it does. But again, this right now I'm calling it a Super Pastel Yellow Belly Sizzler. This is what looks pretty much the same as what the mom is, which I was calling a Sizzler, but if it's a gene, I'm going to call it the Sizzler gene. I think it sounds neat, I guess. So the Super Pastel Yellow Belly Sizzler. Then this one, I think, is a Super Pastel Mahogany Sizzler with no yellow belly. So, well, either a Super Pastel Mahogany Sizzler, no yellow belly, or it could possibly just be a Pastel Mahogany Sizzler, because what I think this one is, because of the even more blushed out stuff and the whiter dorsal and everything, I think this is the yellow belly version. So I would say this is a Pastel Yellow Belly Mahogany Sizzler. if I had to guess. Again, these are all 100% guesses. I have no idea. I could be completely wrong on this. This is just my guess because of the differences in this. The patterning's a little bit more faded in this one. This one still looks pretty cool, but I would say this one is without yellow belly, if I had to guess. And this one's with yellow belly. But Sizzler gene in both of those. And pastel, of course, as it's in everything, and then mahogany. And the reason why I say mahogany in those versus this is because this looks more akin to what mahogany would do, like in a Suma, or like a combo with like a mahogany GHI or something like that. So I do know that these are not mahogany GHIs or pastel mahogany GHIs because I produce a mahogany pastel GHI, and they do not look anything like this at all. So black pastel, cinnamon, GHI, those are out of the question as far as what this thing is. There could be something else that is not as heavily worked into certain things. But anyways, going back to what I think things are. So again, Super Pastel, Sizzler, yellow belly. Pastel. I could be wrong. Maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe not Super Pastel. So anyways, pastel, mahogany, Sizzler, pastel, yellow belly, mahogany, Sizzler, and this one that is extremely blushed out, everything. I think this would be the one that has everything. This would be the Super Pastel, mahogany, yellow belly, Sizzler. That's my guess on this stuff. Again, Sizzler being something I'm just kind of throwing around right now as far as what this is. It could be something else. There's a lot of genes out there that do stuff that could be kind of similar to this. The Cinder gene, for one, could be something that does that. I just know if whatever it is, it's something that doesn't look like a black pastel or a GHI or a cinnamon or anything like that when it is on its own, because it is something that it whacks out the patterning, but it doesn't add darkness to anything that I've been able to see in any of the pairings or any of the clutches that I've produced with these animals. Again, I had 3 clutches with the pastel ivory, the mom of the Sizzler, and this is now my 2nd clutch with the Sizzler, and you saw what her other babies looked like from the last clutch, and nothing looked like this. So I'm actually thinking that now I'm going to go back on my word here now, because one of my thoughts is that maybe in pastel with that gene it doesn't really do much, but when you add Super Pastel with it, and then maybe yellow belly has to be involved. That's why I have no idea what this stuff is. I'm gonna have to hold all this stuff back because I'm gonna have to breed it to certain females and figure out what's going on and see what the results are from all the stuff. There's 3 males in here, and there's 1 female. So this right here is the female. It's the only female from the whole entire clutch. So she is going to be held back, and we're going to try to figure out what the heck she is. And then these 3 are males. So my goal on them is to breed them to some recessive stuff that doesn't have a whole lot else going on with it. So that way I can kind of try to make break down their base morphs and see what is exactly in it and what the things look like. So for example, and I'm just using this as an example, I don't know which snake I'll breed to which female when they get up to size, but let's say I took this one and I bred it to a blade clown. So if I bred it to my blade clown, yes, blade is a factor. I guess it can make an effect on things, but my whole thing would be to try to get it into, obviously make some nice head clowns with this stuff. But if I can reproduce this, that means that everything in here is, it doesn't need to go with anything specifically. And I'm wrong about the Super Pastel thing, and that it has to be Super Pastel version or whatever. And the reason why I say too is I think that's a pastel yellow belly in there, but who knows if it's carrying that gene. That means that that's the single gene pastel version of it. That means something else has to be going on with these other than just the yellow belly, 1 gene of pastel, and the mahogany, along with this other Sizzler gene. So I don't know. I I would be very interested to see what your thoughts are on this clutch. This is a very interesting one for me. I've never had this much of a situation where I don't know what's going on. Usually I'm able to ask people and find out what their thoughts are. The fact that there's no black pastel, cinnamon, or GHI in there really messes with it. There's only one mahogany thing on the parents, so it's not like there's Suma stuff. This isn't pastel Sumas or super pastel Sumas or anything like that, because there's no mahogany on the other side. Whatever it is that she had, that pastel ivory had, she passed it down to the Sizzler, which I guess I'll call the Super Pastel Yellow Belly Sizzler now. And then she passes stuff on to her babies, so it's genetic. Whatever she has is genetic. And I just, yeah, I don't know. What I would like to do, or I think I might do, is I'm going to do a little bit of thinking on this yet, but go ahead and comment below what your thoughts are, what you think. I said I'd give away a snake, right? Unfortunately, I'm not going to give away one of these snakes. However, if there's something going on with this one, I will draw a winner of anybody who comments in this video, and I will send you this snake. This right here. This is a male. And then, yeah, stay in touch, basically, and let me know if you produce anything funky with this guy. Again, he might, more likely is just a pastel yellow belly. But if he's carrying this gene, so there's a little bit of funkiness going on, then you will have this gene in your collection. So again, let's wrap this up here. The Sizzler gene in full effect right here. I showed you the mom as a baby. Just for your guys' information here, this is the mom now, and this was the dad. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. Definitely looking for feedback on this, whatever you thought. If you've produced stuff like this, and maybe there's genes that you've worked with that are doing the same thing in different ways, I would definitely love to hear it, and maybe give me some insight on this, and then maybe actually it's not the Sizzler gene, maybe it's not a new gene, and maybe it's something that's been in people's collections all along, and that people have been producing stuff like this with a gene that maybe is a very subtle gene on its own. So thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Hissy Fit Reptiles with Reptiles Remixed. We'll catch you next time.